This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
Welcome to another main event review, guys. Today we've got lots to cover. Main event itself, Saturday night's main event, and Evolution. All events have concluded in what was an extremely busy week for WWE and all of wrestling, to be honest. With lots of events, was really hard to keep up with them all, but to be fair, some solid matches across the board, especially Evolution, an extremely solid pay-per-view, and the women all showed out for this, and I would love to see Evolution happen every single year. So we'll be reviewing that. We'll also be reviewing Saturday night's main event and the two matches for main event as well. The fact that it is a PLE week, this is how we do it here on the main event review. But once, obviously, we go back to normal proceedings, for those listening for the first time, we review segments that have been recorded on the main event show across SmackDown and Raw as well. But we'll get straight into it. We'll go with, obviously, the events that happen on main event, the two matches that have occurred. The first one being Stephanie Vaquer taking on Ivy Nile. So it was Stephanie Vaquer's debut on main event. And like Julia and like Roxanne Perez, the NXT promoters, I can't even call them that anymore, they've been in the main roster for so long, get their matches on main event, and Stephanie Vaquer gets the victory here against Ivy Nile. The only critique that I'll have across this was there was no Devil's Kiss. I'm a massive fan of obviously that move, as well as everyone is too, but she got the victory there against Ivy Nile. Those two have fought each other a lot of times, so you could see their chemistry in the ring here. So it was a pretty decent match overall. Stephanie Vaquer we'll get into, because obviously we know what happened at Evolution. But with Ivy Nile, just another loss for her. It doesn't seem like she's going anywhere, which is a shame. But again, this has been the same story with American Made as well. And this victory obviously was always going to go to Stephanie Vaquer, given that she's got some crazy momentum since joining the main brand, and that was going to put her to have more momentum going into Evolution, where she ends up winning the Battle Royale as well. But we'll get to that obviously a bit later. We had the second match, which was the LWO taking on the War Raiders. Again, the LWO not really doing too much, especially with Rey Mysterio not being there. It seems as though none of the LWO members are significant whatsoever. Like, we haven't really seen much of Dragon Lee either. So it seems as though that if Rey Mysterio is not there, this group is really doing nothing. So they continue to just be on main event and take falls because they lost to the War Raiders via the War Machine. This probably goes to show that they're continuing to probably push for the World Tag Team Champions moving forward. Although we've seen them take on Finn Balor and JD McDonough a million times, there isn't any tag teams at the moment on Raw, which is quite frustrating, and also just makes things so much more complicated in that division. You can see that the SmackDown tag team division is just so much better, and I always mention this, and I feel like whether they get some more tag teams off SmackDown, move them to Raw, or they form a tag team with two single stars like they did with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, I think that's the only way that the tag team division will improve on Raw, because for now it's just so bleak. And it's got nothing to do with the tag teams there at the moment. Like the Judgment Day, the New Day, and also the War Raiders are pretty solid tag teams. They're good in ring. Obviously, they haven't done nothing with the New Day, which is quite frustrating. But the War Raiders have been pretty solid since they've been rebranded. It's just that it's really hard to give them sort of a full storyline here. But they'll always have that opportunity to compete for titles. But it's just becoming the same story. So hopefully there is a bit of a kind of fix up in that aspect, and we get something that's a bit more significant there moving forward. We then pretty much wrap up main event. That was pretty much the two matches there, so it wasn't really too much to go on, especially given that you expected the winners to be across both, and the Raw Tag Team division is not that heavy, and then obviously Stephanie Vaquer we'll get to, as I've mentioned again, but before that we'll go through Saturday night's main event. We had the match between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Randy Orton getting the victory here, which was no surprise, but what's a bit annoying is that we're going to see these two run it back again at SummerSlam with Logan Paul and Jelly Roll involved. Like, Randy Orton was literally one match away from main eventing SummerSlam with John Cena, and now he has to settle for fighting a celebrity match. Like, that's not what Randy Orton should be doing. Like, obviously SmackDown, we had Logan Paul coming in and interrogating Jelly Roll in Nashville. I just don't see why Randy Orton had to get involved in that, and why they're booking Randy Orton for this particular match as well. He beats Drew McIntyre here, mainly because obviously Jelly Roll and Logan Paul were getting into it, and Drew McIntyre was distracted there. So they sort of did that to kind of protect Drew McIntyre, but it didn't really work because Randy Orton ended up getting the victory here. But they're going to run it back at SummerSlam, which, yeah, it doesn't really excite me. It kind of just, don't even know what it does really. It just gets Jelly Roll in the ring, and like, who really gives any cares to that? I don't know nothing about Jelly Roll and his music. I've just seen him in WWE so many times, and I'm just thinking, why are they pushing these celebrities to wrestle? Like, they did this with Travis Scott, and now they're doing it with Jelly Roll at SummerSlam of all places. So it's just quite annoying to me. But again, Randy Orton gets the victory. Drew McIntyre makes his return, and he takes another loss at Saturday night's main event. So that's a bit of a shame, but we'll see what happens at SummerSlam. Maybe they'll get the victory, and this kind of backtracks a bit. We then had the cool segment of Naomi beating up Jade Cargill at Saturday night's main event, which led to their obviously match at Evolution. But I found that pretty cool to be inserted into that PLE, or sort of semi PLE, if you want to call Saturday night main event that. But what I loved is that of all the matches that was obviously listed on Evolution, those two created probably the best hype, and that gives, and I give massive credit to Naomi there. I feel like Naomi has carried this feud and this kind of match and that hype because of the fact that she's been such a great heel. And again, not going to spoil much, but we know what happens in these matches. But it was just really good to get that kind of little preview before Evolution. But then we get the match between Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, where Solo Sikoa gets the victory here, which was expected. We then had Jacob Fatu coming into the ring and pretty much taking on everyone there. This might set up the match between them back at SummerSlam. Tala Tonga was about to get in it with Fatu, but that didn't happen. So they continue to kind of hype that up to the point where we might see Tala Tonga in the ring, but it seems as though that Solo Sikoa is protecting him at this point, which is no surprise there. I do really hope that Solo keeps the belt for a little longer. I think he thoroughly deserved taking it off Fatu. As much as Fatu has been unbelievable, it just makes Solo Sikoa's new group a lot stronger. And I know everyone's tired of the bloodline, but at the moment I think Solo is doing such a good job, and if he doesn't have the crew with him, he isn't able to be that leader and play this persona that he's doing so well. So Solo, I do hope he retains at SummerSlam, but Fatu's probably going to give him a big run for the money. They haven't spoken much about Tama Tonga at the moment. It looks like they've actually fully closed off the MFT group, but it might mean that Tama Tonga might be joining Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso's side, especially when I think about it, those two were rolling with each other a lot before WrestleMania, and you saw that Tama Tonga kind of was siding with Jacob Fatu in some cases. So when he returns, he might come back and actually help Jacob Fatu, it seems, because it looks like Solo's group has been wrapped up and they've pretty much forgot Tama Tonga. I know he's back from injury, but he's due to return very soon. So Maybe Jacob Fatu gets the help from him to get the victory, but we'll have to wait and see. This definitely sets that up. And for Jimmy Uso, he didn't really do much. It just sort of gave him that fighting chance and the opportunity to compete for a singles title, which he's never done before. But Jacob Fatu was always going to be the person that was going to be Solo's main rival, and Solo was no way in hell going to drop his belt to Jimmy Uso here, especially given that it was his first title defense as well. So that's that match. And then we get the match between LA Knight and Seth Rollins. And yeah, it kind of got ruined, unfortunately, with Seth Rollins' knee buckling when trying to do a moonsault into the ring as well, which was such a massive shame. But it does call for concerns on whether Seth Rollins can continue to be a significant factor in WWE, only because he seems to always get injured now. And obviously, we don't wish injuries, or we don't. No one expects to be injured, or no one purposely wants to be injured. But it seems as though this has become a reoccurring theme, and Seth Rollins once again has another injury at the worst possible time as well. Him having the Money in the Bank briefcase. Obviously, their storyline was set up for him to eventually win the title, but also to elevate Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And the way that I saw things going was that eventually we were going to see Bron Breakker eventually turn on Seth Rollins, and that would have elevated him significantly. And it feels as though that's going to get cut off. Now, the only way that I can sort of see this kind of being restored and the storyline continuing is that Bron Breakker continues to do stuff alone with Bronson Reed without the help of the visionary Seth Rollins. And Bron Breakker maybe wins the title and Seth Rollins potentially cashes in on Bron Breakker, or Bron Breakker continues to, I guess, dominate and do all those things, and a random match happens whether Gunther's the champion or not, and Seth Rollins makes his comeback by cashing in and winning the title as well. And Bron Breakker doesn't get any credit, but is the one that pretty much allowed Seth Rollins to get that title, something like that. But it really just depends on how long Seth Rollins is out for. Hopefully it's not too long of a time. Hopefully he can get back, ideally as soon as possible, but long-term thinking before the Royal Rumble, so that way he can still cash in within his 12-month window, which is important. But it's a shame for him to get that injury, because it's been such a fun ride with Seth Rollins at the moment. He's been so good on the mic as a heel. You had the Roman Reigns kind of wild card as well. That feud wasn't concluded yet. We're expecting him to come back and sort of battle with him. So there's not going to be much for Roman Reigns to do when he comes back, it seems. So yeah, a lot of moving parts here, and creative's going to have to do a really good job in trying to pivot this for eventual feuds that have been originally planned that will now be put to the side, because unfortunately Seth Rollins sustained this injury. But wishing him all the best. I do like the fact that they gave LA Knight the victory and sort of put him over here. It seems as though that LA Knight's going to be getting a decent push. He's up for the gauntlet match, potentially to fight for the title at SummerSlam, which I don't think he will win, but it's just great to see him being part of that. And I think he's best suited on Raw. I think that's where he should be right now. He has a better chance of winning the World Heavyweight Championship than the WWE Championship. So now that kind of Seth Rollins is supposedly out the picture, he might have a chance to sort of feud with Gunther, and I think that would be a very interesting one between the two there. So he may not beat Gunther, and it might not happen, but a feud that goes for a few months, maybe 2-3 matches, might be something worthwhile for those two, because it doesn't seem like they've had a program before. So look out for that. But LA Knight is starting to get himself further up the ranks, and maybe that he wasn't going to win this match if Seth Rollins' knee didn't bust, but LA Knight will take the victory, and he'll give him some really big momentum going into SummerSlam, and hopefully they give him a pretty solid feud to sort of cap off his run at the moment post the United States title as well. We then get the final match, which was Gunther against Goldberg, which was Goldberg's last match. Went for a decent time. Gunther did get the victory here, which I'm so glad they did. As much as everyone loves Goldberg and is a big fan of Goldberg, I was just getting sick and tired of him coming back. especially given that the last time he came back, he took the Fiend's title and won that match, and that was an extremely frustrating booking, especially given that the Fiend was so dominant, and then Goldberg just took the title away from him as if he was nothing. I'm glad that they didn't do this now. They didn't give Goldberg the title. Gunther won the match, won it with a sleeper, showed his force, showed his prowess, and ultimately got the victory here. And it was great. And now Goldberg has finished in the ring. That was his last match, which for those massive Goldberg fans is sad. He is a legend. He may not be the best in-ring performer, but he had that presence and he was a dominant force. And he does look pretty good for his age as well. He made some safe moves, which was good. And he showed that he can continue to go in the ring, which was the most important thing there. But he did his farewell to the fans, which was a nice touch. And yeah, that pushes Gunther forward, who he will potentially be taking on, as mentioned, LA Knight, CM Punk, Bron Breakker, or Jey Uso. I might be missing one more there, but they're going to be having a gauntlet match on tomorrow's episode on Raw. So look out for that. It seems more than likely that he will take on CM Punk, only because I feel as though that the original plan was for CM Punk and Seth Rollins to go at each other at SummerSlam once again. But now with the injury, Punk's got nothing to do, so why not go for WWE World Heavyweight Championship? We'll have to wait and see tomorrow, but I've got a high chance that CM Punk will win that match. But that pretty much concludes Saturday night's main event, which was an overall pretty solid main event. Probably one of the best ones that was there in a while as well. And I did notice that I don't think Jesse Ventura was on commentary, which I found quite interesting. I think they took him off because he was probably getting too controversial with his takes as well, but I sort of missed his kind of opinions and stuff on there. So maybe he'll come back another time, but it feels as though he's probably potentially lost it there. We then move on to the third event of this review, and that is Evolution, which was a fantastic PLE. If I was to compare between this and obviously Saturday night's main event, I would 100% go with Evolution. I think Evolution was a fantastic show, which started with the triple threat match between Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria, and Bayley, where we had Becky Lynch getting the victory here in what was an awesome jackknife pin. You had Bayley putting the rose plant on Lyra, and then Becky Lynch coming in with that crazy jackknife pin to get the victory there. In what was expected victory, Becky retaining the title. It didn't make sense for her to drop it to those two, especially given that it's real early into her reign. This was a match that I thought would potentially highlight SummerSlam, but then making sense. And then obviously the fact that there was a women's own PLE, it made sense that it was on Evolution, but not really sure what's going to happen moving forward with those three. Maybe they run it back again at SummerSlam, but a bit more of a stipulation could be involved. But Becky Lynch continues to be the Women's Intercontinental Champion. So that's how that ended. We then had the second match for the NXT Women's title. JC Jane taking on Jordan Grace, where JC Jane remained the NXT Women's Champion after the shocking betrayal from Blake Monroe. To be honest, I don't really know too much of what's going on here with NXT, honestly, because I haven't got too much time to follow wrestling. Three nights a week is just too tough. But essentially, it looked like that Monroe picked up the title and cracked Grace in the back, which allowed Jane to hit up the rolling encore to win the match. So it was just a bit of a betrayal here. It seems as though that Jordan Grace invited Monroe to enter the ring to be on her side, and that caused that kind of betrayal and turn, which even for someone that obviously doesn't follow NXT, it seemed as though that was most likely going to happen as well. We then got the Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4 match between Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, the Kabuki Warriors, and Sol Ruka and Zarya, the former Aussie, which was great. Another NXT exposure for those two. We had Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez winning the match. And this really just proved that they're sort of elevating Raquel Rodriguez a bit too, especially after her match with Rhea Ripley as well. She showed and demonstrated lots of power and dominance in this match, and this continues to kind of push the Judgment Day, where they all seem to have the gold now, which is crazy to see, because this group looked like they were actually going to fall off, but now they're kind of stronger than ever with everyone having a title as well. What's interesting is going to be when Liv Morgan returns. Obviously, she's not going to be too pleased with Roxanne Perez taking her place. However, they continue to be the titles, and it was the right decision in the end, especially considering the momentum that Judgment Day do have, and also how good Raquel Rodriguez is doing, and obviously Roxanne Perez also being a part of that and showing her proving that her worth to the Judgment Day as well. We then had the match between Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus, which was quite boring, if I'm honest. Like, we knew that Trish Stratus wasn't going to win the match here, so Tiffany obviously choosing her as an opponent made sense, given that Trish Stratus is a legend, Hall of Famer, and this was to obviously boost the pay-per-view up. Tiffany Stratton does get the victory, and that's obviously going to set a match with Jade Cargill as well. It seemed as though that this might have been Trish Stratus' last match, but you can't really rule that out as well. But yeah, this wasn't really a crazy match as well, and I'm not really too keen on Tiffany Stratton's run. I feel like it's time for her to sort of drop the title here. There hasn't really been too much with her character that makes me gravitate towards her, and it seems as though that her run hasn't been too strong, if I'm honest. And yeah, it's just very bland. Like, the opponents that she's had have been very bland. So we'll see what happens. She's obviously going to verse Jade Cargill at SummerSlam, and yeah, completely got my prediction wrong on that one, which I'll get to. But we had the match with Jade Cargill and Naomi, where Jade Cargill got the victory here. Bianca Belair was a special guest referee, and I forgot to mention that on the segment of Saturday Night's Main Event, Nick Aldis did announce that Bianca Belair would be the special guest referee, and Bianca Belair didn't do nothing. She literally was just there to referee the match, and she did it really well. And we had the Jaded off the table, where Naomi lost and Jade got the victory. And that's going to give her momentum going into SummerSlam, and that's something that I expected, Jade Cargill to win the match here against Naomi, given that if she did lose, then it wouldn't have made sense for her to go into SummerSlam with a loss and bad momentum against Tiffany Stratton. You want Jade to look as strong as possible going into that championship match, and I genuinely believe that she will beat Tiffany Stratton in that match too. I think they're really pushing Jade Cargill here, and she has improved a lot in the ring, I've got to say. And she pulled up another pretty strong performance in this match. But again, she needs to find a way to sort of gravitate with the fans more, it seems, because even Naomi, as a heel, people relate to her more, and the fans are big fans of her too. We then finally get to the Battle Royale, where we can talk about Stephanie Vaquer again. She wins this match. So glad that Nikki Bella didn't win it. That would have just been super frustrating. But Vaquer was the favorite, and she ended up finishing up with Lash Legend using the Devil's Kiss, which was great to see as well. Used it twice, and it was great to see the fans' reaction to the Devil's Kiss as well. That will set up a match at Clash in Paris for the title. So all the NXT girls are moving really fast with potential titles. You have Julia, who's US champ. You have Roxanne Perez, who's a tag team champ. And now Vaquer, that has an opportunity at Clash in Paris, which will be after SummerSlam, to be a women's champ. So that's going to be interesting there. Notable kind of strong performances. Lash Legend did a really good job in there. And so did Nia Jax, to be fair, dominating and eliminating everyone as well. We did see also, I'm trying to get her name, Julia and Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega eliminating Julia there, so that might also mean for a further feud or a rematch for that title. I'm surprised they didn't get a match on this card, but again, they really just had a match last week, and the US title has been getting defended on SmackDown a lot lately. But Vaquer gets the victory here in what was a pretty solid Battle Royale and an expected victory too. We then get the main event, which was Io Sky taking on Rhea Ripley. And what a match this was. Unbelievable. One of the best women's matches I've seen in a very long time. Rhea Ripley is just so good at selling moves, and Io Sky is just so good in the ring. It's just, she has got to be, out of, even with the men's, the best in-ring wrestler the company has. She's got to be up there for sure, because she just continues to perform moves after moves after moves. And what I loved about this was, you never really see it, but women going into outside the ring, into the fans, and sort of continuing that brawl and fight. And as I thought there was going to be a winner here, the most unexpected thing happened, and Naomi came out and she cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase. The way she did it was she hit Sky off the briefcase, threw Ripley into the ring post, and then hit the split leg moonsault to get the victory against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley to become the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. And I was super surprised, because I generally was thinking that Naomi would cash in on Jade Cargill to make her life a lot worse. But WWE give us the ultimate surprise. And it's going to be interesting to see what will happen now, given that I think Naomi's done with Jade, because I don't think Jade is going to be versing Naomi for that title. It's crazy. And Evolution, I think, was needing of this to happen. Before the match, I thought maybe they would have given the title to Rhea Ripley, but they've full pivoted that and have given us an extreme surprise, and that was Naomi being the new Women's World Heavyweight Champion, and she's going to be defending that at SummerSlam, which is quite crazy as well. Like, honestly couldn't believe it. A great shock and a great way to end in what was such a great pay-per-view. But yeah, Naomi's the Women's World Heavyweight Champion, or Women's World Champion, and we'll have to see what happens on Raw, because a lot of these events transpired, and we'll be able to see how they are kind of reflected on Raw's tomorrow. So we still got more wrestling to come, as if it wasn't enough. Raw tomorrow, and then back again with another main event review on normal proceedings as well. So we'll be able to kind of review the events that happen on tomorrow's episode on Raw, and if they show SmackDown as well there too. But again, it's been your boy Daniel. You've listened to another main event review with the PLE reviews as well. Thank you so much for listening in today, and I will catch you guys next week. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.